Light reading. And now she wrote, and now mountains do not cloud over. Let us wash our hair and stare at mountains. She begins to read. Should I wake her, or should I let her sleep longer? She reads silently, she reads in silence, light turned away from herself. She would be present in darkness, she would be placed in darkness, only to be apparent, to appear without image, to be heard unseen. She lightens her own reading, she reads by the reflection of herself. In mind of herself she listens. She saw the story in a moment. The end began where the beginning ended, inseparable in the myth of her memory, in the sound of her voice. The sounds were always behind in the depths of her mind, found in the drumming of the present day. Her hands reached out, she could only glimpse the shadow, the faint reflection of a fading image, slipping between the shadows, stumbling on the traces of her knowledge, sinking in the ruts of her experience. She couldn't reach herself. She begins again, she reads by the sun, her face to the moon. She's guided by darkness, threatened by those things that might have been, could have happened, surrounded by sounds no longer heard, images lost from sight. The words dance in a moment of light, regathered to the sound of her voice, reap to the rhythm of her body, and now she wrote, and now the sense of the story is, but which moment of beginning follows which moment of end? Is the end beginning or the beginning ending? She is told the end is not the beginning. If it were, she is told, how could she know the which from the which? Or the which from the why? The which and the which would not be bewitched. Should I wake her, or should I let her sleep longer? The folds of light fade into deep shadow. The sense of her dream is disturbed by the presence of a past not past, a past that holds her with fingers honed on logic, nails hardened with rationality, cutting the flow of her thought, forcing her back within herself, damned by the rattle of words, words already sentenced, imprisoned in meaning, exhausted with explanation, shot with the pins of punctuation. In her own voice she cried, the end cannot be confused with the end that ended, somewhere, but not here at the beginning. End of reel, end to end, cut to white, then black. She raised her hand, whole still shot of raised hand, sound of shots still, silence. She said that I was to wake her in an hour and a half if it didn't rain. It's still raining, what should I do? Should I wake her, or should I let her sleep longer? She begins to read. She reads silently, she reads in silence, blurring her mind with the sound of words, images reaching back into darkness. After the frames of her raised hand, stretch print the next frame 6 times. She tries to read. The words fall away, fall through her mind, twisting in sharp circles, herself circling in on herself, diverging along sudden tangents, tangents without direction. There could be no direction on her own. On her own she was just passing time from one hand to one hand, enclosed behind a closed door. Cut out 10 black frames where the camera stopped. She slept a little this morning, feeling physically grey, pale with self-absorption. Flicker on camera, loop print with close-up, over and over, round and round. Her head was cluttered with blank images, perfectly symmetrical and transparent. She could look at herself in reflection, but the reflection was not hers. Still of camera to man's eye, still no sound. She writes on the small white frames, turns them over. Hidden under the smooth surface, her thoughts are framed in reflection. Lengthen next frames. Stretch hand in shadow. Frame paper in mid-shot. Move around from top right of frame in a complete circle. No sound. Framed in reflection, her image fixed, her thoughts framed, her image outside the frame, trying to be in frame. Reframed, by whom, in whose frame? End of reel 2. Another camera movement, fading to white. Join end to end, sound of footsteps moving backwards and forwards. The closer she looked, the more she resented herself for minding. Could she not mind for herself? Could she change her mind? Be mindless? Mind that which she had a mind to mind? She said that I was to wake her in an hour and a half if it didn't rain. It's still raining. What should I do? Should I wake her, or should I let her sleep longer? Mistake at the beginning of the camera movement. Cut, start again, sound of running footsteps. Was she working back to front to back, images before thought, words prescribing images, images prescribing sounds? Which was in front of why? Was it just the orientation of her look, the position of her perception, the back of the front or the front of the back? She listened. She looked at the soundings of the images. Close-up of the title fills the frame. The sound of the shot is louder. She watched herself being looked at. She looked at herself being watched. But she could not perceive herself as the subject of the sentence, as it was written, as it was read. The context defined her as the object of the explanation. Total length 440 feet. Print next 20 feet head to tail. And now, she wrote, and now mountains do not cloud over. Let us wash our hair and stare at mountains. How sweet are suns and the season, the sea or the season and the roads. Roads are often neglected. How can you feel so reasonably? Polaroid photo with unseen, barely visible, camera movement, reading backwards, whole last frame, sound of shot mixed with footsteps running in frame. The first drops of rain smash against the window. The tree is olive with new leaves. The white stairs let in light. The intention or intensification is carried out not by the action, but by the illumination. Sound of footsteps running away, countering the inward movement of the zoom. Tracking herself through the frame, forced by the sound of the footsteps to fill the constriction of the frame. Tracking herself through the frame, captured, contained, she lost track. Include optical print of the first section, paste the soundtrack exactly, paste out a rectangle 30 by 40 feet, always moving in the same direction, held in line, underline, always under, misframed in a blank frame, invisible in mid-frame. Head of reel 1, 105 feet, title, Overexposed, exposed as, imposed on, impaled by. There'd been no decisions, no choice. It had been decided. She had no choice. Cut. She raised her hand, stopped the action, reaction. She began to read. She began to reread the story backwards. It began. I dreamt last night that I was dead. I was closed from my life, from time and knowing. I could see her and speak with her. She was dead. She said that I was to wake her in an hour and a half if it didn't rain. It's still raining. What should I do? Should I wake her, or should I let her sleep longer? There remained several strands, each black and white, threads of possible meaning. Nothing was unravelled, nothing revealed. No singularity of structure or logic. There remained several strands, each black and white, threads of possible meaning. Nothing was unravelled, nothing revealed. No singularity of structure or logic. She looked more closely. She read more clearly. She saw that she was both the subject and object. She was seen and she saw. She was seen as object. She saw as subject. But what she saw as subject was modified by how she was seen as object. She objected. She refused to be framed. She raised her hand, stopped the action. She began to read. She began to reread, aloud.